Look at that. That's
Have you heard from Karen? Karen, have you heard from her?
On other topics.
I didn't ever see anything.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Maybe she was traveling or something.
I know they were in,
we should have had a.
somewhere in Canada
Yeah.
Monday.
I know, we never did a drink or champagne.
But I
We,
think say
go get our
that
pictures.
text or disconnected text. So, yeah.
Finley's showing off his book.
I've actually started reading it. It's pretty good.
And it's different, it's a different kind of read, isn't it?
Yeah, very fresh.
Was it okay with you if we stay in his,
Put you over here
if
at
we,
the leader's
if we,
chair.
is it okay with you if we do past history today?
Do what?
Past history,
Past history.
yeah, not that book, the one from the past,
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought we were going to do. The epilogue.
yeah,
Yeah.
afterward.
Right.
I think put in Jean's book. Jean, did you bring your book?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, is that it? It's around here somewhere, that doesn't
That's
look like
my
it's that one
book.
has tape on it.
Jennifer has my book. I remember,
That's
last
my-
week I did.
Oh, that's right, we own
That's my big.
yeah, you're right.
Oh, we found the green thing for community.
Oh, do we start ordinary time?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go change the
Good, I
chalice.
wonder where it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Mary Lou Worth.
I didn't set up communion, but
Were you saying you wish you'd used the green chalice?
I didn't, I got them out for whoever's setting up communion, but I better go change it so they get the green one.
Oh,
Don't you want green plate and green?
Just play the cup, could you nix the cup?
If you want green for ordinary time, this is a Sunday that is ordinary time, but it's also okay. Not even listening.
You know, you'd think after all this time we'd be colorblind.
Bad. Bad
Thank you,
joke.
thank you,
Bad joke.
thank you.
It's too bad you're on Zoom. I can't
I
mute you.
got it, I just didn't want to laugh.
Oh, okay.
I'm being funny about that. I'm being serious.
How about those Seahawks?
All
Whoever
right.
said that.
Whoa, that was something to watch.
What's that?
The Seahawks game
Yeah.
last night was,
Yeah, that was something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty boring.
I just wanted us to win. And to get a big enough lead that I didn't have to worry so much.
That's
At the end of the
right.
third, we just turned off the TV because we knew who was going to win.
Wow.
No, we could have turned it off on the second.
I didn't turn it off.
History.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah,
You watched
me
the whole
too.
thing even though you knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't know.
Big playoff.
That's right.
It's 41-6 at the fourth.
Well,
You kind of know.
well, yeah, but look, you
Yes.
look at the Bears games and
Yes.
this week, but excuse me, I turned it off at the halftime because the Bears were down, I don't know.
That was a fun football game.
And it's like, whoa. So I don't think you can just guarantee because you've got a good
Yeah.
lead.
That's
there.
like us with the Rams.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Since I was watching the
Watch the whole.
hydroplane,
yeah.
Mitch Evans is from my hometown.
Oh,
And so he flipped a boat. I just thought, oh, that's over.
yeah.
Well, he went and got another boat and won the race. I said, from now on, I watch the whole thing. As well as can be expected.
It's fun when you get a playoff blowout though.
Yeah.
It brings back memories. When I was a child, the Red Wings were dominant.
Oh,
And I remember some 8-0
Oh,
wins.
Yes,
Oh.
big time.
46-6.
41-6.
41-6.
41-6 is crazy.
That's
Yeah,
that.
well, that's about like us with the one Super Bowl.
In the playoffs, that's
that we won.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yourself, you wanna sit here?
No, because they're all,
I'll get you a
they're
quarter.
all really good. So solid.
Yeah, we're,
Somebody can just bring up the chair right there.
well,
You can sit by me.
yeah, well, I'll sit in the middle. Here.
Spread out.
I'm so glad you're here.
There's another one right there.
Already, wow.
Well, because it got empty real fast early.
Okay, was this the J. Kyle one?
Yeah.
Like your coat, that's nice.
I say, dang, y'all drank the coffee fast.
We've got another, is there, the other pot's done, the other regular?
Oh, it's there.
Oh, yes, it's
No,
probably done
we
by
have one
now.
more, yeah, there's one more regular coming, it's, yeah.
Who texted me anyway?
Not me.
Not me.
That's what she always said.
I would've yelled at you.
Before she looked at the text, she'll ask
So
if I
who's
text.
leading this morning? We never-
When I'm ready.
Nobody, just
We're
everybody.
just gonna have a general
A general
discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, Nobody has
I
to
mean,
take the.
somebody started.
Well, you could do the.
Prayer?
Okay.
Doesn't matter, I know.
We can,
All my, all week, so.
No box today?
No robots?
No.
No lots.
All right.
can we bow in prayer, please? Our gracious God,
Sheen.
Our gracious Lord, we thank you that we can be here today and study our history, and now we're reviewing what we've learned, and we pray that it will bring us closer to you these last several weeks of study, and then we ask that you'll be with us in the worship service and with everyone else. In Jesus' name, amen. So, anyone have any thoughts? Did you read the afterward?
I did.
Excuse me.
Looks like Dave has notes.
Yeah, I know.
Always got my notes.
Oh, you got it?
Dave has notes every week. That's so conscientious, Dave.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Good morning. All right, how are you?
Great, did not anticipate having to scrape ice off.
How about my favorite sentence?
Oh, it's got a favorite.
Yeah. I'm gonna start out with my favorite sentence.
What is your favorite sentence?
Christianity came into the world as an ordered community and made its way as a corporate body with institutions and offices, rituals, and laws.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that in a nutshell?
Yeah.
And, you know, you could take that and turn Christianity into almost anything. Like, you know, that term and that way of looking at Christianity. And it's like you think about the startups, like I was thinking about Microsoft. Well, yeah, they started as just a little community in the basement, in the garage, and then they built it into
Just like Apple too, right?
Anyway, that sentence was like,
Oh, my gosh.
oh my gosh, it almost makes it less holy.
Almost.
I know.
Yeah, it does, yes, it does. It's just, it kind of took out
What page is that?
that was in the,
Three.
How much?
50s, yeah.
My eyesight's not too
It's
good.
kind of in the middle.
And I found that kind of off-putting.
Anyway, it was,
I think you're right. I mean, we talked early on, but what was a very, very simple message
Yeah.
of Jesus to turn into what you just read.
yeah. So it was something that I think we saw all along the way. You know, these guys, they go into the community and, oh, they have to have a building right now, you know, as soon as we can. And then that turns into giant something. And the laws come down from Rome or the bishop. Anyway, that was first, the bishop, yeah. Anyway, it was just, anyway, that was kind of.
The second sentence is, Christianity is inescapably social. Its spread among new people had little to do with the conversion of individuals and everything to do with building a new society.
So, and truly, think about, you know, when we were back in the 100s, and all the ground level. Everything was from the bottom up, and that's kind of where it started. And it was kind of fun to read that part of it. We ain't there anymore. It's all down, top down now.
And then before very long at all, by 300, the men had taken over as all the bishops and made their alliances with Rome and took it in a whole new direction.
Yep, right, yeah, exactly, Finley. That was 300 was a big turning point.
Always the men's fault.
Yeah, but the basic underlying message lives on.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely, I think so.
That's why we're here.
That's why,
Yeah.
that's
That's
exactly.
why we're here.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe.
afterward there, within a few sentences
Oh, yeah.
of what you guys have been reading, he also points out that the religion was pushed by people who were focused on the spiritual side of it. The monks, the monasteries, was very, very spiritually focused and very intellectual.
Yeah.
Which led to a lot of the, I think, and as long as we're redoing the history, we might as well redo our conversations, because I don't know how many times in the last several weeks, Dave has said it's a very simple message, and Gene has said, yes, and it's very complicated.
And it was made
So
complicated.
there was all that complicated, and still is, about the Trinity and is Jesus human or spiritual or both, or okay, which is more powerful? And so there was a lot of, but the fact that it had a strong structure and it was very socially oriented, so it didn't just get lost in communities, it became communities, and it had a side to it that has, I guess still, a side to it that's very spiritual, not necessarily focused on the structure and the communities, but focused on the individual connection to God. But it's not an either or. It's all of these things, which makes maybe makes it so fascinating.
So I agree with Jane, and I wrestled with, I still am, so what happened to what I think was a very simple message. And I come up with two, which should not be binary, but it's probably a mixture of. But on one hand, we have a wonderful intellectual development. That's one thing, one of the real themes out of this book that I learned a lot from is I had underestimated the intellectual side of Christianity and the role that Christianity, and particularly monks and other theologians, played in the intellectual development of our cultures. So with intellectualism comes debate and disagreements, and so you have a very simple message that gets debated, and you have those, what was that thing they all joined and argued about forever? Anyway, so you have the intellectual side, but then on the other side you have brute power, and you have the church and the state. You have these kings and emperors, and you have popes that are all interested in power, and so you get divided up based on power. And you what I see, you started with a bottoms-up religion the first couple hundred years, and then it kind of became top-down, and Constantine he became converted. It was a peaceful thing, and it was his wife. So anyway, he got converted, and therefore all the people became. It was a peaceful transition. But then you come along with Charlemagne and other, and you have Christianity by the sword. Is that I'm going to make you be a Christian because I've just conquered you. And so the evolution that side. So that, to me, it's all very complex. You've got the intellectual side where we debate stuff, and then the other side, you got brute power where we dominate you. So Christianity is woven through all of this. I find it fascinating.
But then, later on, the Muslims conquered a lot of Christianity with brute
Right.
power, brute force.
Absolutely.
And,
Right.
Christianity disappeared in a lot of places where it had been a long time.
It's almost like that, like the Muslims sort of started out like Christianity. I mean, they had their Muhammad. And I don't know how small, if it started in small grounds up kind of thing, or I don't know that we ever got that far back, but somehow it was all in the name of Muhammad that they conquered.
Don't forget Christianity.
But it wasn't the same, was it? I mean,
No, I don't think it was. I'm just,
Muhammad didn't inspire people in their houses and little groups and things like that. Muhammad started from the get-go as the head of an army.
yeah. So that's why I was trying to figure out, how did it get to that point? I don't know.
Like, why did they decide that the best thing to do with their faith was to?
To go when
To dominate
Muhammad
the
was there to go start conquering. That's a whole nother 1,000 years of Islam.
I mean, it's not unlike Dee's question. How does the simple message, I am the way and the life, come to everyone needs to follow my way in my life? And with Muhammad, Muhammad is God's prophet. There is no other. How does that lead to?
It surprises me. Up till now, I couldn't figure out how Islam, Muhammad was a shepherd. And I don't know how he got the information about God and.
Well, according to the book, he took off and lived in a cave for a while, periodically, and then he had these visions when he lived out there.
Yeah.
And that's where he got his information. Sounds a little bit like Joseph Smith to me.
Yeah, exactly. But he also got his information based on knowledge as well. I mean, like knowledge of the, scriptures and Jewish texts. So.
They're quite familiar with them.
Yeah.
The knowledge about the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And he couldn't read at the time.
Yeah.
He was, I don't know.
But he probably absorbed it from the surrounding culture.
Yeah.
I thought the book kind of ended on a downer. He points out that by the year 1000, Christianity's growth was over,
I know.
or slowed
Or
down.
slow, yeah.
It peaked,
Yeah.
it peaked, very peaked. That's interesting.
Well, he's not telling a story, he's reporting what happened.
Yeah. So it
ends
it
at
was a
whatever
downer.
level
That's why I go to the
was
dark
at
ages.
After 1,000 years, which in this case was shrunk down to, we say 50% of where it had been. Yeah,
I'd never thought of that.
yeah.
So, and it says only in the West was Christianity able to control its future. And from the perspective of the West, Christianity in the East seems part of a vanished past. So, but then he says, but Christianity is an Eastern religion, and its homeland is in the Middle East.
Right.
There's still strands of those Eastern traditions and robust bodies of those Eastern traditions alive and well today.
Right.
One question that I have, just thinking about the things that I know about all of your faith journeys, how you're wrestling with this history, with who we are out in the wider world, who we are here in this building, and the ways that those things collide. How was reading this book for your faith, for your story, your sense of yourself as a Christian? Because I think about that simple message piece. I think sometimes in our 20th and 21st century sort of way of thinking, it's very comfortable to make this into an ethical system and to come into contact with, in both the case of the Western Christianity, the Eastern Christianities, and Islam, like, it's very much a system of faith that commands their whole life. So like, how was reading this for y'all? Like, in that, to that end, were there things that surprised and unsettled you, or things that inspired you? Are we all gonna go become cops?
I enjoyed it because it was, I guess, inspiring, because they were fighting with the same things I fight with. 3 parts of one God, but we don't worship gods. It's hard sometimes to get my head around that.
Yeah.
And it was hard for them to get around that too. So I'm comforted a bit that, okay, I'm not the one missing it here. There's a lot of people missing it. And they've been missing it forever. So I was glad to read those kind of things.
For me, it was more like, I really was inspired by the simplicity of the early version of Christianity, for the first couple hundred years. And then to me, all the intellectualism and the arguments and all that was superfluous. So it's like, okay, you guys can argue about it.
You're not as invested in the Nicene Creed and the unity and
yeah, that doesn't matter to me that much.
I never heard of it. Had you ever heard of the Nicene Creed?
Oh yeah, we recite it sometimes.
Yeah, so we repeat,
What kind of Christian are you?
No.
But it's certain, like, because I started out as a Baptist, I never heard of it. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but I never heard of it.
until.
It was all the apostles.
Yes.
I don't remember anything about creeds, period.
I think I heard of it.
I think it wasn't emphasized, let's put it that way. I'm not saying that it, so it was interesting to me, and it was interesting for me of all the bishops and people who came together who developed those, the Nicene Creed and whatever. And then I guess one of the things for me for this is, I guess I had just, for myself, I haven't struggled a whole lot. I just have accepted God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, the 3 in 1. But to go back and read about where this came from, and that they argued about for hundreds of years on some of the cases, it was just kind of, oh, okay. To me, it was kind of like a settled thing. And to go back and read the history and to see kind of how it developed and where it came in and how the church as a whole decided or whatever. But it also reminds me, I have to say this, it also reminds me, the church is made up of humans. We're the ones who put the structure and everything together. How do we know that we pick the right books to be in our Bible? How do we know, all of these things that there's, and so this book helped me kind of see how groups put together, how they decided. I still don't know if any of us are right, but it certainly are holy books that we study.
Yeah, I see as you do that the development of Christianity is very much a human thing, the way humans interact and
interpreted
message.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We had a really good story, and it kind of, and I'm going to tell it just because we went back to the first couple hundred years of Christianity with, you all know Keith and Becky who come here off and on. We had dinner with them this week. And they live in Ohio, the most conservative Lebanon, not that Lebanon, but Lebanon. And they had a church, a very large church, and Methodist, and it split with, all the things going on in the right wing and the left wing and the whatever. So it got so bad that Keith and Becky left the church. And with them, I think he said 16 people came with. And so they just did not believe what was going on in this country, and they just couldn't support it as a church. And so they started meeting in I don't know, Jean, do you remember a basement, a house? I don't know. Anyway, they found some small space. And this has been maybe a year ago. This church has grown to 165 people in this little tiny conservative town. And it's ground up. And so we talked a lot about the Christianity and how it grew. That was its origins. So I sort of see this as maybe it's in existence, and it's marvelous. And anyway, so I just thought that was a really good story.
Yeah, great story.
And a true one at that, very true. And it's working. So who knows, maybe this will turn into a mega church. Anyway, there.
Well, I'm not officially a Christian at this point, but and I didn't read the book, but it's been interesting sitting here listening to everyone talk about it, because it's like, oh, Christianity spread, and it's very much framed as like a good thing, and from the people that I've grown up with and been around, it's like, and learning in history, it's like that was not a good thing because it was like so brutal and violent, and and so it's just interesting. It's like there's this whole other wide world that I'm encountering that's just kind of blowing my mind, because I grew up in Vegas, well, mostly grew up in Vegas, but most of the people that I encountered who were Christians were Mormons. My dad was raised Mormon. He left the church. The church did not leave him, unfortunately. So I had to grow up with misogyny, the extreme misogyny. And all my classmates, most of them were Mormon. So I experienced a lot of bullying as someone who was not Mormon or Christian. And then like my best friends were all like fundamentalist evangelical. So this is, pretty much what I was dealing with. And so this whole simple message, I'm being given Bibles. I'm looking at them. I'm reading them. I'm at a particularly very important sermon that I told Pastor Joe about, where I'm just sitting there like, the first time I'm reading this part of John, and I'm just like, why are you adding all this extra fluff to it? This is a very simple message that I'm getting here. And so it's just kind of now, like here, the reason I'm coming to this community is I'm finally hearing that message in this simple way. And I'm encountering what I've always hoped to encounter. And so it's been pretty wild and awesome and surprising. Did not see this in the cards at all. So, yeah, kind of where I'm at.
That's great.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Was your mother Mormon also?
No. And you have to understand, my father was anti any kind of religion.
Oh, okay.
He made sure that I, if he, I don't know what he would think if he knew. He died 3 years ago, and I hadn't spoken to him in 20 years. And so I think, he would not be happy if I was coming to church. So, he definitely had the aim of making sure I would never do anything religious, just very anti-religion. I just wish that he had investigated how his worldview was still very much based in Mormonism. So, But my grandmother was raised Catholic. My grandfather was agnostic on my mom's side, and then my mom was raised Episcopalian. But yeah, we were very much no religion. So yeah, not that I was atheist or anything. Like, yeah,
no, that makes
deeply. That's what all the kids in high school called me though. They were like atheists, and we were doing a project on Dante's Inferno. And I wanted to reverse it because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, wouldn't the enemy of God be the devil's friend? Like, shouldn't it be like kind of like more? And my classmate was like, no, we will get into so much trouble. And I was like, but this one particular Mormon classmate, she put atheists in the first level of hell, and she looked straight at me. And she's like, atheists are going to the first level, and their punishment is to copy the Bible for all eternity. And I was like, well, then I'll add some interesting doodles.
Some interesting what?
Doodles.
Oh, good for you.
I put cheerleaders in hell, so it was fine.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Jennifer.
So I too was struck with the humanity in and out of this book. You know, as an old history major, all the major forces going on I found fascinating, the ebbs and the flows. But throughout that, there were individuals that I really was interested in. And I think I said it before, but my favorite was good old Basil. And to me, he might be my role model for what Christianity should be all about. Again, the simplicity, but also the service, and putting your faith into action is very important to me. And Basil would be my role model, at least early on role model for how to do that. So giving all these sweeps and all that, I think it even goes on today. Amongst all this morass of complexity, there are some people doing some really good things, big and small, trying to make a difference and consistent with the simple message at the beginning of all this that I find inspiring. And we're talking about Todd struggling, I too struggle. This thing called Christianity that we're part of in Christians, why are these evangelical Christians the basis of Trump and all the other, the foundation of that movement? We share a religion, and I find that very troubling. And I find myself almost embarrassed to reference church to my friends. You know, I talk about the pantry, and sometimes I find myself saying, oh yeah, well, there's pantry at work. But instead of saying, you know, our church's pantry, and I say, no, I'm going to say our church's pantry. I forced myself, but my initial reaction is because of all the Seattleites around here, the most unchurched people in the country, I find myself almost embarrassed, not because of this group or what we're doing, but because of what they're doing, and I'm somehow associated with that.
They look at you.
You're part of that bunch?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh. But I do specifically talk about our church and what we do. And a lot of times people say, oh, really? That's, you know, like they're favorably impressed.
That was kind of my reaction.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I had that same discussion at Rainbow Hop with someone.
Oh.
Like, wait, you're part of, like, wait, what are you guys? You're part of this pride thing? And I'm like, yeah. Smart. Oh, okay.
So you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
That can be part of it.
Like, somebody, one of my acquaintances came here and was really impressed with the sign that says like the gender-free bathroom or whatever, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was amazed by that. She didn't use it, but, you know, she's not transgender or anything, but she was just impressed. Yeah.
It's also not very conveniently located.
And no, it's true. But you know how I came to this church? I was waiting for the bus to take me to the Lutheran church because I was originally Lutheran, but my husband was Presbyterian. So the bus was late And so I walked, and I said, oh, this is a church. I came in. I sat in the last pew. Then Dick Erickson was preaching. He makes wine.
Yes, he does.
I said, oh, this is a good church.
He made what?
He makes wine.
So,
He made wine. He made wine.
Wilma Sproul came over, and she was very, very, open and so on. And she took me to the buffet. And I liked the church. I liked the group, And
been here ever since.
yeah. For 26 years.
Wow. Well, I just read, I have a high school classmate in Chelan who, I think she lives in East Bonanza now, but anyway, she was a year behind me. But she became a Christian. I think I was happened to be at the church, a little stone church in Manson, or in Chelan, when she went forward or something. But anyway, she posted this thing about a fella, he was trying to justify their support of Trump. And the reasoning was that with Trump in charge, they're able to do what they want to do and have, and I assume that would be, no abortion or all of the things they think are right. And so that's why, even though he's not really very Christian or even a Christian, that we support him. And I just sat on this for about 4 days. And so last night I finally said, I need to say this. So I posted on there, I said, Vicki, I have very much respect for you. I'm very fond of you, but I think this is making a deal with the devil. And so that you can get what you want, you're having an out of control person in charge. And he's doing damage beyond anything you ever thought of.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Greenland, and I could have mentioned so much more, but I specified Greenland and the killing of the boats from Venezuela with no due process and stuff. So I don't know how that's going to land, but I started to understand a little bit more why they support him, is because they think they can do what they want, that he's giving them the freedom to do what they want, even though he is totally out of the norm. And it just kind of was helpful to me to understand a little more. Yeah.
You're right, it is a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
The question that's come into my mind as I listen to what you just said, Gene, and what we've been going around with here about what it feels like to hold Christian identity in public, with the way that it's become very much conflated with an anti-women, anti-immigrant, anti-queer, in many cases anti-worker agenda. I wonder if part of the problem is that people who we might identify as political opponents but are nevertheless within our tradition are very clear about claiming that tradition when they voice their political beliefs. And then people who we might feel more in agreement with, who also share that tradition, are very shy and reluctant to name and claim their tradition when they voice their beliefs. And it creates this impression, certainly to those Christians on the other end of the spectrum and to people who are just like in the culture, that what Christians stand for is banning abortion, banning reproductive health care, banning gender affirming care, banning immigration, banning any kind of care for someone who isn't just like us. And just like us is usually defined as straight and white and Anglo, so what does it look like in the face of this brutal history, but this brutal present, to claim our Christian identity?
Well, I'm going to take it a little further. For someone like me in the past, it was harm. You guys mean harm. So, I mean, one of my mom's sisters, she's in this church where it's like, oh, my mom reminded me, I was like, hey, I might be becoming Presbyterian. And she was like, well, your aunt still thinks you're going to hell. And she says, your aunt still thinks you're going to hell. She said her grandmother was in hell, all these things. And yeah. So this is what, my uncle, her husband, if we had been in the room alone together, he would have throttled me because I was standing up to him and speaking my mind. So literal harm. I mean, there's a documentary called The Burning Times, and it talks about the 600 year history of women just being burned alive by the church. And there's blanking on her name, Sims is her last name, but she was talking about how maybe a big part of why so many women are scared to speak up is because we remember that in our bones. That history is still very present. And as somebody who is a Buddhist and a witch, and I've only very recently, I think, honestly, Joe is probably one of the first people where I was like, and I'm a witch. Because I'm like, if this is going to be a problem, we need to make sure this is out in the air. I still have not. So I actually talked to my other parents. I guess we could call them my godparents, but they're Baptist missionaries, and I met them in Zambia. They're from New Mexico. And I actually talked to them the other morning because I'm like, hey, it looks like I might be getting baptized. And they're like, into what? And I was like, Presbyterian? And they're like, oh, let's call you real quick. And, and she, so they're thrilled. But she had said, she was like, wow, Buddhist to this. And I did not say, a witch. And I still have not told them because I'm terrified that they might be like, never mind.
They might reject you.
Yeah.
They won't let you close.
I love them very dearly and I don't want that. But at the same time, I feel like I should also be very honest with them. But so anyway, sorry, I kind of took the room there, but
I agree with Dave a lot of what, and I have felt especially in the last number of years, that it's harder to say I'm a Christian. That it's harder especially out in the Seattle area, which is, as you say, the great unchurched. Is that when I say, yes, I'm a Christian, they automatically assume I'm a right-wing fundamentalist.
Right.
And I have to remember and say, that's not all Christians. There's a lot of us who believe in, whether it's pride, whether it's reproductive, or anyway, all of those things. But I think it's time for us past time for us to do that. For us to just be open and, yes, we're Christians. And we believe in the message, and we believe in loving your neighbor, and we believe in, I'm not a right-wing fundamentalist, but I'm still a Christian. And it's important, I think it's important for us to reclaim Christianity, just like I think, can I say one more thing for you?
Yeah.
I know you've got a thought, but is the other thing that goes along with that for me is I'm American, I love my flag, and if you see people, I'm starting to see more protesters with their flags, but it's like, I feel like I need to reclaim that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good one.
All I was going to say is that it sounds like, from what I know about you, it's not just that you're a Christian and you're not a conservative, it's that your political beliefs derive from your faith. They're bound up in your faith.
Yes.
You are living out your faith when you act in public and when you vote. You're seeking to anyways, right? None of us are 100%. But my point is what does it look like in addition to reclaiming the flag, what would it look like to reclaim the cross?
Yes.
Right? And to not just say, oh, those are Christians, but I'm also a Christian too, but say, I'm a Christian and this is what my faith looks like. This is how I do Christianity. And to just make that bold claim at the risk of transgressing on our value of individual sort of determination. What if we were to say this is what Christianity looks like, as opposed to this is what my Christianity looks like. What does it look like to this? You're talking to Joe the political now. To put the people who believe in anti-human violence on the back foot of defending that they are Christian.
Yeah.
And instead say, no, this is what Christianity looks like. It's welcoming the stranger. It's caring for the vulnerable. And that means people with uteruses. That means people who are immigrants and asylees. That means people who are queer.
People who think differently too.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's even people that.
People think differently. Yeah.
And a moment of advertising, if you wanted to honor Martin Luther King tomorrow, I believe he was black, and I don't think anybody disputes that he was Christian, and he's a good example of a Christian martyr. So that might help change the view a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a friend, well, she's a therapist that I've been talking to for a long time. She's kind of more like my aunt at this point, but she's Lutheran. And so she has said several times, like, she's talked about her faith with me a bit. And I'm like, Christians like you need to be a little louder because we're not hearing you. And she's even said several times that she's like embarrassed or reluctant to call herself Christian because she doesn't want to be associated with that. And I'm going to just say real quick, no one's more embarrassed, I think, than me to be like, so I'm going to church now. My friends, they're like so confused. I've been getting grilled. And like all the ribbing at work, like, oh my gosh, it's been a lot, but I also welcome it at the same time. So
Yay for you.
You're trying to get to loud and proud, coming from mild and reviled.
Todd, would you go ahead
How
and
about
mute
louder
Finley
and
for
prouder?
us? Todd, would you go ahead and mute Finley for us?
I thought that was good though, Finley.
Yeah.
I too, like Finley, was thinking about tomorrow in Martin Luther King. And I'm thinking back to the 60s, civil rights movement, and anti-Vietnam, and huge social, political issues going on. And the Christian church played a major role in those issues. Today, huge issues going on, and we have an aspect of the Christian church, namely the evangelical side, that's very active in the issues of the day. But for the rest, I say rest of us, not so. And that absence is very telling. And tomorrow, we'll have a chance to reflect on somebody who symbolized that Christian activism, embodied it. But it's also pretty sobering. Think about the vacuum that's been left behind. And June, I liked your story about making the deal with the devil, because I think about this book and all the deals made between the popes and the bishops and the emperors and the kings. And that's how Christianity was built, based on the deal, because they both needed each other. We said before, the emperors needed the blessing, the credibility that the Pope was able to give, and the Pope needed the muscle and the protection that the emperor was able to give. So
not dissimilar from the deal today.
Yeah.
Trump and the evangelicals.
Right. So that June story was a good one.
I think we get mixed up with evangelicals and fundamentalists. I think that far right are fundamentalists, and not very good ones. But you can be evangelical and still think like we all do. And I just that light bulb went on not too long ago.
That's a good point. Thank you. I should say fundamental.
Yeah, because I thought back to the Christianity that I adopted when I was a teenager, young teen, and the church and everything. And I think it's been hijacked because these people like Jerry Falwell, they wanted power. So they, yeah, power and money. And when I think about how Christian the fundamentalists, or whatever you want to call them, that brought me into the church, you know, how they really lived out Christianity in their life. I mean, this one couple that they were retired, but they bought a station wagon so they could haul all the kids that wanted to go to church, you know, and they'd pick up any kid and take them to church. And there was that kind of, and that's how I got to go to church. So.
I think it's interesting mentioning Martin Luther King Jr. and thinking about him and Jesus. And when I think about it, what I see is that they were both essentially killed for the same reason. They both empowered and united the people together and threatened the power structures that existed at that time. And whether they were directly killed by the state, by Jesus, like Jesus was, or indirectly killed by the state, because the FBI knew that there were assassination attempts plotted against MLK. And could they have intervened? Probably, but they chose not to. That way they could say, oh, well, we didn't kill him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
They watched the hand.
Yeah.
Possible deniability.
Exactly. And it's just, that's what we're up against, you know, these people who have the power and want to keep us divided and not looking at where that power lies. Because if everybody actually realized, if we all stood together and fought back against the people in power, the way Jesus and MLK wanted us to, that those power structures would crumble very quickly.
I'm gonna get political for a minute.
It's okay.
I'm shocked.
Well, I mean, certain people, at some point in time, Trump's numbers were low, and certain people weren't supporting him. And so they got a shooter who supposedly got his ear. But isn't that amazing? The cartilage grew back.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it got a lot of sympathy that direction and you know, and all that. And to go to that extent, I mean, the extent that things are always changing to make sure that
he's built
up, and that the power that he is demanding for himself and his cronies is getting worse and worse and worse.
Especially ICE.
And it makes me sad.
Oh, ICE.
Yeah, ICE is horrid. And hopefully that might be one of the things that's turning, because suddenly a young white woman mother.
Christian, Presbyterian, I believe.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Let's all check it out.
You know, was murdered. Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
And what's scary on the other side of it, the guy that shot her, they just raised $1 million.
Yeah. And it was in plain sight with lots of film.
I'm like, goodness.
Speaking of, does anybody want an ice whistle? I have one on my keychain too. But yeah, I got an extra one of these because I managed to stop by the protest at Green Lake for like 10 minutes on my last break. And yeah, so if anybody wants this.
I have one.
Excellent.
Well,
apparently they're starting to, there were some reports of them on the Avenue District.
Also Aurora.
Yeah. And Aurora, yeah, so the rumors that they're starting to ramp up.
Yep.
But yeah,
one of the things that impressed me and struck me about learning this history was, and that I've been thinking about, was the way that it spread, and he talks about this in the afterword, the way that it spread within existing cultures.
Yes.
So it didn't go, Christianity didn't go into new areas and tear down the existing culture. It fit in with the existing culture. And it, to the extent that Christians wrote language
Yes.
for languages that hadn't been written before, and that it brought this message to people without chopping their heads off if they didn't accept it. And I'm thinking, when reading that, I was thinking, that's a different kind of evangelism than I saw when I was early in my days as a Christian, where it was very clearly part of a colonialist plan to take this message to cultures that didn't necessarily have it and tell them they had to destroy everything that they had believed before. They had to redo their culture. And they had to take this message, and we did it on this continent, and we did it on other continents. And that's one of the ways that the word evangelical got a bad name. And I agree. It's part of the message. Is everybody, we should be sharing this good message. But the way we did it was scary. This is an intentional plug, besides just telling you or sharing with you a piece of what I was going through. It's also an intentional plug. I waited till almost 10 o'clock for the next book. because that book, I think, is going to explain. I think that book is going to show us how Christianity got from meeting cultures where they were and sharing this great message to thinking it had to change cultures to be like us. So that happened, and how it happened, I think, is in this next piece of it.
I had the audio.
Stay tuned.
I had the audio of this book.
You had what?
I had the audio of this book.
Audio.
Oh, great. I have
my accent.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. I had it. I listened to it twice. Then last night I put my earphone. I was listening, and I was fell asleep for the first time. I slept with
That's wonderful.
But I read it twice. I listened to it during the day twice.
It's interesting, you're talking about like fitting into culture versus like eliminating. And for me, it's feeling very much like I'm not changing. It's more like there's this puzzle piece that's clicking into place. And yeah. In fact, at first my friends were like kind of a little scared, and I was like, am I just gonna have to get baptized and not tell them for a year so that they hang out? Because honestly, like, have I always been a follower of Jesus? Yes. It's just that I've never found a community that also seemed to like match and fit, but it just feels more like alignment and like an extra piece of the puzzle just kind of clicking in and making a even bigger, more complete picture for me. So, yeah.
I think going back to sort of the original question of like, what is this like showing you about your faith or whatever is like, to me, it kind of confirms more like the whole reckoning that I've been having for like the last 6 years or 7 years about like that having questions is good and we shouldn't know everything and we should be questioning what all these old crazies we're doing. Like, because, you know, growing up, Christian is just like, this is what the Bible says, this is what you believe, blah, blah, blah. And you just like kind of get it wrote in your head. And like for a while, you're just like, yep, this is what everything is based off, you know, off of me. And then like you come to a new place when you're an adult and you're like, oh, there's all these things that I didn't think of growing up in a small conservative town. Like, and, you know, in some ways you're like, yes, I can broaden my horizons and it still fits in this faith. But then at a certain point, it's like, well, I feel like I can't share some of these questions or these things that I now think because, like, is this too far? If I say this is going to be too radical for, like, Christianity or whatever, then at a certain point, well, I'm not a Christian because I've changed my view on all of these things or whatever. And then, like, and I remember Stacy, when she was still here, did that thing about, like, how the books in the New Testament were put together and who decided what was in.
Absolutely.
And like this kind of talks about a little bit too, how it's like, it's so much about power structure and who wanted their version of the story and everything. And that kind of confirms in my mind, like, well, yeah, I should be questioning it then. I'm right to like think about these things and not just be like, yeah, the Bible is like everything. And it's like, okay, I can still have faith and be this person, but not just be, you know, like going along. Like I can have complex feelings about it, and I should, because some of these guys were not cool and like misogynistic a-holes. Like, so, like
Preach.
it's just like, yeah, like, do I believe Jesus? Yes, but like, can I have a complicated, like, wildly complicated feelings about this and about how the Bible got to put together and like why people pick out certain passages and think that is everything? Like, no, I shouldn't just think that about the Bible. I should have my own mind and like question things, and that's okay, and that doesn't make me less faithful than like I used to be. Yeah. Anyway.
And I think, well, you're right, I think of it in reading in here of all the translators who translated the Bible, and these are humans translating and writing down. And that kind of brings me to the story I think I've told some of you, is I ran into somebody in Savannah, Georgia, a year ago, and the guy said, well, I knew he was very fundamentalist to start with, but that's fine. But then he says he's a King James Christian. All these translations, and how can you say one particular translation is the one? You know, it's just like, it makes even less sense to me now than it did when I talked to him a year ago.
But it was good enough for Paul, so it's good enough.
But Paul didn't have the other translations.
Well, that's the point.
Because Paul didn't live at that time.
I know, that was the whole point of the joke.
Right. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, so, you know, again, I've learned a lot from this book. I think it's really good for us to have that basis, and again, to begin to see even more reasons to question and to say, not to just believe word for word what somebody says is the holy book. As I said, are there other ones out there that we should have, you know, I wasn't there when they decided those were the books they were gonna have. It's a great book, it has wonderful things in it, wonderful messages in it, but there's questions too.
Oh my gosh, when I think about little goody two-shoes teenage Christian Mindy, like, I cringe now.
Yes. Yeah, I can.
I see we're getting close. I just, on behalf of the whole group, I just wanted to thank the 3 J's for just a great job. I mean,
We'd like to take some
you guys twisted my arm to get into this.
I know you did, thank you.
I did it because I couldn't say no to you guys. But
And Finley too.
But I really enjoyed it and learned a lot, but also just, you guys did a ton of work. I mean, all that preparation behind, didn't happen by just.
It didn't happen overnight.
It took a lot of work. And then you prepared the information, but then you had a lot of really interesting discussions and all. So I really want to thank you guys for, like you always do, for all your hard work.
Thanks.
Good job.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I learned so much.
I'd like us to get some pictures of the group and then the three of us. And if we can put it against the timeline.
Timeline that we.
Should I do jazz hands?
Amen. Yeah.